All right, boys and girls, this is the Mid-Module 1 Math Practice Test video part 2. I want everybody to look on number 2 or on the board and the video as you're watching this, because this is what you're going to see tomorrow. They want for you to, we're going to look at letter A. It says use words, numbers, and your model to explain why each of the digits has a different value. Be sure to use 10 times as much and 1/10 of in your explanation. So when I have the number 8 and 88 hundredths, they want for you to tell what place value each of those digits is. So for example, we're going to start with the first one. What place value is the 1 or the 8 in?
Ones.
Yes, that's right, the ones. What about the next 8?
Tens.
What about the last 8?
Hundreds.
Exactly. So, remember, the is important. So, boys and girls, what you're doing on this is it's saying they want for you to talk about each digit. So, in the tens place, I know if I compare the 8 in the tens place is what to the value of the 8 in the ones place. The 8 in the tens place is what to the value of the 8 in the ones place?
It's 1/10.
Okay, 1/10 as much. It's smaller than. How do you know, Mr. Davis? Because first of all, the 8 tenths is smaller than the 8 ones. For example, if I have $8 and then I have 80 cents, I can see how 80 cents is smaller than $8. Now, 1/10, boys and girls, right here is because it's one space to the left. That's an example of what I'm talking about. Now, what if I said, let's take that same 8 in the tenths place. That 8 tenths is what to 8 hundredths, though? We're comparing the 8 tenths this time to 8 hundredths. The 8 in the tenths place is what to the 8 in the hundredths place? Class, what do you think?
10 times as much.
Boys and girls, it is going to be greater than, because yet again, if I come over here and compare, I will have 8 cents. And 8 cents is greater or less than 80 cents. So boys and girls, it is going to be 10 times as much. 10 times as much. Boys and girls, on this one it says circle all the measurements that could be the actual measurement of the... Okay, so it says circle all the measurements that could be the actual measurement of the rainfall. So I'm going to have to round all these numbers to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to start with 2 and 251 thousandths. Which digit is in the tenths place right here?
2.
The 2. So I'm going to draw an arrow to the 5. Can the 5 change that 2?
Yes, sir.
The rule is if it's 5 or greater, it rounds it up. If it's 4 below, it stays the same. So that 2 becomes a 3. The number in front of that stays the same, and all the other numbers become zeros. So could I circle that one as being one of them? Yes, I could. What about 2 and 349 thousandths? Let's try that one. 2 and 349 thousandths. I'm going to underline the tenths place, draw an arrow to the 4. Can the 4 change that 3? It is not strong enough. So the 3 stays the same, and all numbers to the right of it become zeros. Can I use this? Is that considered 2 and 3/10 centimeters? Yes, I just changed it. I just changed it to 2 and 3/10. Both of these have been rounded to the nearest tenths place. You're probably saying, well, Mr. Davis, what about those zeros to the right of it? As long as that's the last digit, you don't have to put those zeros. All right? The next one, 2 and 352 thousandths. 2 and 352 thousandths. Which digit is in the tenths place?
The 3.
So I'm going to underline it and draw an arrow to the 5. Is the 5 strong enough to change the 3?
Yes, sir.
It changes the 3 to a
4.
Okay. And all the numbers to the right become
Zeros.
so we don't have to include them. Boys and girls, can I use 2 and 4/10?
No, sir.
Can I use this? No, because it has to be 2 and 3/10. So I cannot circle that one. And then, of course, the last one, you would do that one as well. We're going to skip down to letter B. It wants for us to convert the rounded measurement to meters. The rounded measurement. So we're going to take 2 and 3/10, which is what it's talking about. That's the rounded measurement. And they want for us to go from 2 and 3/10 centimeters to meters. Now, when I go from a centimeter to a meter, if you remember using our King Henry,
Dive Monday drinking chocolate milk.
okay, so we know that my centimeter is located right here.
Yes.
All right, I am 2 spaces away from the actual meter. Boys and girls, a centimeter, is it smaller or greater than a meter?
Smaller.
Remember the meter stick, it was real long and you had tiny centimeters? It's smaller than. So I'm going to take my 2 and 3/10 centimeters. And what do you think I'm going to do with that decimal point? I'm going to do what?
Divide it.
I'm going to divide it
To the left.
by how many?
200.
By how many?
100.
I'm going to move it 2 spaces, so how many zeros is that?
100.
Okay, what exponent is that?
10 to the power of 2.
10 to the power of 2. That is what we call an equation. That's the second part to that question. You're going to need to write that and remember that is called an equation. You just completed the equation part. I'll go over that again. 2 and 3/10 divided by 10 to the second, because I move it, it's a smaller number, okay? A smaller number. So I'm going to divide. Now, I'm going to move that decimal point.
2 times to the left.
I'm going to move it twice to the left.
And you're going to
So my brand new, and what goes in the empty space?
A 0.
So my brand new answer is 23,000 meters. You have to put the M because it represents meters. 23,000 meters. That is how you solve the third one, letter B. Okay, boys and girls, we're going to go on to the next one. They want for you to put those measurements in order from the least to the greatest. Write the smallest total rainfall in word form and then expanded form. So let's first of all put these in order from the least to the greatest. So I want you to look at each one of these. Which one of those is the least? We always start with the ones place. We know that it's either going to be Ithaca or Rochester, right? Because my zeros are in the ones place. So which one is the smallest, Ithaca or Rochester? How many of y'all think it's Rochester?
Me. Rochester?
Okay, boys and girls, let's take a look at this. We can't compare the 8s or the 0s or the 9s. Let's look at the hundredths place. You have 700ths versus 400ths. Which one is the smallest?
4.
The 4. So Ithaca is the first one. Okay? So we're going to list 0 and 947 thousandths as being the smallest. And then automatically we know that the next one is going to be 97 hundredths because it's got a 0 in the ones place. So those two are done. We're done with those two. So now let's go to Saratoga Springs and New York City. Which one of those is the smallest between the two of those? We have 2 ones. But then look at the 10th place. The 5 and the 2.
Five is greater than the 2.
So which one is the next smallest, class?
New York City.
So we're going to list 1 and 268 thousandths. And then the last one is 1 and 5 tenths. A lot of kids get confused and say, well, Mr. Davis, look at there's like less numbers. 268 is bigger than 5. Well, that's true. But when we're to the right of the decimal, remember, we can just simply add zeros, and all of a sudden you have 500 versus 268, or 970 versus 947. Now it wants for you to write the smallest total rainfall in word form and expanded form. Which one of those is the smallest numbers? Which one did we say? How do you say that number? How do you say the smallest number up here?
0 and 947 thousandths.
So they want for us to write that in words. So I want you to take a moment and write that in words. All right, using this student sample, we can see that the words written form is 0 and, meaning decimal, 0 and 947 thousandths. Okay, the only thing that I would say is that 40 is spelt like this right here. That's the only problem I see. But other than that, I like the way she used thousandths. And she also included that 0. So that is very good right there. Okay? Now, the next part is they want for you to write it in expanded form. Expanded form. Take a moment and do that. All right, boys and girls, this is an example of the expanded form. He did 9 times 1/10 plus 4 times 100 plus 7 times 1,000. That is all they wanted. You also could have chosen to use decimals if you wanted. And in that case, it would have looked like this. But fractions or decimals are acceptable. All right, the next one says to round each of the rainfalls to the nearest tenth. Round each of the rainfalls to the nearest tenth. So we're going to start with 97 hundredths. All right, 97 hundredths. I'm going to look, which digit is in the tenths place right here?
9.
The 9, exactly. So I'm going to underline the 9 and draw an arrow to the 7. Can the 7 change the 9?
Yes, sir.
So it's going to bump it up to what?
A 10.
So I'm going to put a 0 there and carry my 1. So it's going to make that 1 decimal 0, and every number to the right becomes zeros. And that's how you do that. Simple. So that's going to be how you round that one. The next one is going to be 947 thousandths. I want to underline what digit's in the tenths place.
9.
Underline it, draw an arrow to the 4. Can the 4 change the 9? No, so guess what? It's going to say the same, and every number to the right become
0.
Thank you. All right, look at Saratoga Springs. We're going to underline the tenths place. But boys and girls, is there anything to the right?
No.
So that one's an easy one because that stays the same. And that's how you do that one. Don't forget to do the New York City one as well. All right, boys and girls, the last one that we're going to go over today is going to be this one right here. Imagine that New York City's rainfall is the same every year. So New York City's rainfall was 1 and 268 thousandths meters. 1 and 268 thousandths meters. How much would the rain fall in 100 years? So how do I find out how much it would fall in 100 years? What would I do?
That's a long time.
Yes, sir. It sure is. How would I do that?
Multiply it by 100.
Correct. Multiply it by 100. All right. So in this case, when I multiply, what happens to a number? It increases. So I'm going to move that decimal how many times? How many times? Twice. Very good. So my brand new answer is 126 and 8 tenths meters. Very good. All right.
What's this number right here, Mr. Davis?
All right. This is the end of the video. For the practice test, please make sure you review this video as much as you can. And thank you for watching. Everybody have a great day.
Bye.